Welcome back to the channel Valuable Coins HD, where we explore the most remarkable, rare, and sometimes shocking stories hiding in plain sight, in the form of coins you might just have sitting in your drawer. Today, we're about to take a deep, fascinating journey into the story of one of the most iconic coins ever struck in the United States, the 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark. Now, don't let its humble appearance fool you. This coin may look like an ordinary 1-cent piece, but it holds a secret that has made it one of the most desirable and valuable coins in American numismatics. So get comfortable, turn up the volume, and join me as we peel back the layers of history, rarity, design, and sheer excitement surrounding the 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that could turn an ordinary day into the moment you discovered something worth a small fortune. Let's begin by stepping into the historical context. The year was 1958. America was on the brink of major social and political change. The Cold War was in full swing, Elvis Presley was dominating the airwaves, and NASA was just getting off the ground. Amid all of this, the U.S. Mint continued its time-honored tradition of producing coins for everyday use, pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, all quietly exchanging hands as the country charged forward. Now, the Lincoln Wheat Penny had been in circulation since 1909. Introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's face, something revolutionary at the time. On the obverse, you see the familiar image of Lincoln in profile, flanked by the word Liberty on one side and the year of mintage, 1958 in this case, on the other. Depending on where it was minted, you'll also find a small letter below the date, D for Denver, or sometimes no mint mark at all for Philadelphia. Flip the coin over, and you're greeted with two elegant wheat ears arching along the edges, enclosing the words, 1 cent and United States of America. At the top, the national motto, E pluribus unum, arches over the entire design. This reverse design, often called the wheat reverse, had a long and respected run from 1909 until 1958. And here's where things get really interesting. The 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny was the last official year the wheat ears design was used. After this, in 1959, the reverse was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial design to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That makes the 1958 penny the final chapter in a historic series, a fact that already adds collector appeal. But when you introduce mint marks and rare errors into the mix, things get seriously exciting. Now, let's talk about why the 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark is such a showstopper. Most 1958 pennies were minted in Philadelphia, which means they have no mint mark at all. But a smaller number were minted in Denver, and those are marked with a small D under the date. These Denver minted coins are rarer to begin with, but what truly makes some of them extraordinary is the existence of minting anomalies, especially double die errors. A double die error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during production, resulting in a doubling of certain features, like the date, lettering, or mint mark. These errors are rare, but when they happen, they instantly elevate a coin from common to collectible, and sometimes from collectible to legendary. In the case of the 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny, collectors have been on the lookout for clear doubling on the obverse side, particularly on the date and the word Liberty. When this doubling is sharp and distinct, and the coin is otherwise in excellent condition, you're looking at a penny that's far from ordinary. Another reason this coin is so incredibly valuable is the condition factor. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70 using the Sheldon scale, and the closer a coin gets to 70, the higher its value. A 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no damage, strong luster, sharp strikes, and full red color, known as red mint state, is considered a top-tier find. Add a minting error to that, and it's like holding a winning lottery ticket. Let's not forget that coins like these are not just pieces of metal. They are historical artifacts. When you hold a 1958 wheat penny, you're holding a piece of America as it transitioned from post-war prosperity into the modern era. That tiny piece of copper witnessed school lunches, soda machines, bus fares, and countless pockets, drawers, and piggy banks. And if you're lucky enough to find one with a mint mark and an error, you might just be holding one of the rarest pieces of small change ever created. So how do you know if you've got the real deal? First, look at the date. Is it 1958? Then check underneath it. Do you see a D mint mark? Now take a very close look, possibly with a magnifying glass. Do you see any doubling of the date or letters? If so, you might just be holding something incredibly rare. But to be absolutely sure, always consult with a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate, grade, and encapsulate your coin, giving it official status in the collector's market. Now let's talk about the part that everyone's been waiting for, the value. How much can a tiny, humble-looking Lincoln wheat penny from 1958 with a mint mark and in excellent condition actually be worth today? Here it is, the big reveal. A 1958 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark, especially one featuring a prominent mint error and preserved in pristine condition, can be worth an astonishing $160,000. Yes, you heard that right. $160,000. For a single penny. Just imagine the possibilities, what you might find in that old jar of change, in the pocket of an old coat, or buried in a coin collection you inherited. Today's video is going to ignite that spark of curiosity all over again. Because today, we're turning back the clock to 1937 and shining a spotlight on a coin that might look small, but carries big-time value and an even bigger story. Yes, we're talking about the 1937 Lincoln wheat penny, one of the most iconic coins ever produced by the United States Mint. At first glance, it's just a simple copper coin with a humble value of 1 cent, but dig a little deeper, and you'll discover it holds a rich history, fascinating mint variations, and in some cases, life-changing value. So, buckle up as we go on a time-traveling journey through American history, explore the fine details that make this penny special, and reveal just how much this coin could be worth, especially if yours carries a rare mint mark and is in the right condition. Let's set the scene. The year was 1937. The Great Depression was beginning to ease. President Franklin D. Roosevelt was steering the country with his New Deal programs, and everyday Americans were just starting to find their footing again. It was a time when every cent mattered, literally. Back then, a single penny could buy a handful of candy, contribute to a loaf of bread, or be saved toward a bigger purchase. In that environment, coins weren't just pocket change. They were symbols of hope, recovery, and perseverance. That's what makes the 1937 Lincoln wheat penny so compelling. Minted in 3 major U.S. mint locations, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, this coin was part of the everyday American experience. It circulated in shops, markets, lunch counters, gas stations, and schoolyards across the country. Most people never looked twice at it. But today, collectors and numismatists look at it with a sharp eye, because some of these 1937 wheat pennies are anything but ordinary. Let's talk design. On the obverse of the coin, you'll find the familiar and iconic profile of President Abraham Lincoln. Sculpted by Victor David Brenner, this was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, breaking the old tradition of using symbolic representations like Lady Liberty. Lincoln's image was chosen to commemorate the centennial of his birth in 1909, and the design was so popular it lasted for decades. On the left of Lincoln, you see the word Liberty. To the right, the date, 1937, and just beneath it, the mint mark. If your coin has no mint mark, it was produced in Philadelphia. If it has a small d, it came from the Denver Mint. And if it has an S, it was struck at the San Francisco Mint. While all 3 are collectible, certain mint marks, especially when paired with specific die varieties or errors, can increase the coin's rarity and desirability. Now flip the coin to the reverse, and you'll see the classic wheat ears design, 2 stalks of wheat curving up from the bottom left and right. Between them are the bold words, 1 cent and United States of America. Across the top arches the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. It's a simple yet powerful design that has become instantly recognizable in the world of coin collecting. But what makes the 1937 Lincoln wheat penny stand out? Well, here's where things get interesting. While millions of these coins were minted and used in everyday life, only a fraction have survived in excellent condition. Even fewer carry the types of characteristics that coin collectors dream of: perfect strikes, high-grade luster, or rare die errors. For example, some 1937 pennies feature double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks, each of which can dramatically increase the value. Then there are variations in the shape and placement of the mint mark. These kinds of anomalies are like gold to collectors, because they're not just rare, they're traceable pieces of minting history. But beyond condition and mint mark, the story matters too. The 1937 penny is a bridge between eras. It comes from a time just before the great changes of World War II, before coin compositions began shifting due to wartime needs, and before Lincoln's memorial replaced the wheat reverse in 1959. It's a piece of copper that survived nearly 9 decades, through wars, recessions, economic booms, cultural revolutions, and personal histories, and perhaps most importantly, it's a reminder that not all treasure sparkles. Some treasures are made of copper, aged with time, and hidden in plain sight. So how can you know if your 1937 penny is the kind of rare find collectors are hunting for? Start with the mint mark. Coins with the D for Denver or S for San Francisco are already more desirable than those from Philadelphia. Then look at the condition. A coin that's been sitting untouched in a coin album or kept in an old family collection in pristine condition can fetch far more than one that's been worn down in circulation. Then there's grading. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. Anything in the 60s, especially MS 65 and higher, can command impressive prices. If your 1937 penny has strong details, no major nicks or wear, and maintains its original red or red-brown color, it could be considered mint state, and that's where the real money starts to come in. And remember, coin grading is best left to the pros. Certified grading by PCGS or NGC not only verifies the authenticity of your coin but also gives collectors and buyers confidence when determining its value. Now, I know you've been waiting for this moment, the part where we reveal just how much a 1937 Lincoln wheat penny can be worth. And while most people see a penny and think worthless, collectors know better. They know that the right combination of rarity, mint mark, error, and condition can turn that 1-cent piece into a literal fortune. So, if you happen to own a 1937 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark, especially in pristine, uncirculated condition, and possibly even with a rare variety or error, then listen closely, because your coin could be worth as much as $110,000. Yes, you heard that right. $110,000, for a single penny that might be sitting quietly in your collection, completely unnoticed, and that's the magic of coin collecting. That's what keeps us searching, exploring, and learning. The chance that tucked inside a dusty old box or an inherited coin folder could be a small copper treasure that holds a 6-figure secret. Today's video is going to blow your mind. We're diving deep into one of the most fascinating, overlooked coins in U.S. history, the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark. You might think, it's just a penny. But what if I told you that a single 1953 wheat cent could be hiding in your house right now, and could be worth more than some luxury cars or even a small home? That's right. This tiny copper coin from the mid-20th century might hold a value that can change your life. And today, we're going to take a long and exciting look at why. Let's begin with the context. The year is 1953. The United States is riding the wave of post-World War II prosperity. Dwight D. Eisenhower has just taken office as president. The Cold War is simmering, television is becoming a household staple, and rock and roll is on the rise. While society is changing rapidly, the penny in your pocket remains consistent, carrying with it decades of tradition and history. That's where our 1953 Lincoln wheat penny comes into focus. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this penny isn't just a coin, it's a tribute. First minted in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it became the first U.S. coin to feature the portrait of a real person. That's right, before Lincoln appeared on the penny, U.S. coins had symbolic representations of liberty and ideals, but not actual human figures. On the obverse, or front side of the coin, we see Lincoln's profile facing right, surrounded by the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," above his head, "Liberty," to the left, and the date 1953 to the right. Just beneath the date, you may notice a tiny letter, either a D for the Denver Mint or an S for the San Francisco Mint. If there is no mint mark, that means the coin was produced in Philadelphia. The reverse side of the penny features the famous wheat ears design, two stalks of wheat curving inward from the left and right edges, surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America. At the top, the phrase e pluribus unum, Latin for out of many, one, serves as a reminder of the unity of the nation. This wheat-back design is what gives the Lincoln penny its nickname, the wheat penny. And though this design was retired in 1958, the years that came before it, like 1953, produced some truly interesting and highly collectible pieces, especially those with mint marks and, most importantly, minting errors. So, what makes the 1953 wheat penny with a mint mark so desirable? Let's start with rarity and production details. The 1953 D, Denver, and 1953 S, San Francisco, wheat pennies were minted in large numbers, but here's where things get interesting. Over time, most of those pennies were used in circulation, passed from person to person, jingling in pockets, dropped in vending machines, and collected in jars. That daily wear and tear wore them down, dulled their details, and left them in average condition. But when you find a 1953 penny with a mint mark that's in mint state, or even better, uncirculated condition, you're talking about a much rarer breed. And if that coin happens to contain a minting error, the value can skyrocket. Let's talk about some of the known mint errors associated with 1953 pennies. Double die obverse, DDO. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin features a doubling of design elements, like the date or the word Liberty. When this happens, the features appear twice, slightly offset, and it's a favorite among collectors. Repunched mint mark, RPM. This happens when the mint mark was punched more than once into the die, resulting in a visible shadow or doubling around the letter D or S. Off-center strikes. If the coin wasn't properly aligned during striking, part of the design could appear off-center, creating a very obvious and valuable error. Clipped planchets. A portion of the coin is missing due to a miscut of the blank metal disc before striking. These types of errors were unintentional but have become goldmines for collectors today. They were never meant to exist in the first place, so they're incredibly rare, and rarity always drives value up. Now, let's move into another important area, grading and condition. Just like with sports cards, comics, or any collectible, the better the condition, the higher the value. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, which goes from 1 to 70. A coin graded as MS 60 or higher, MS stands for mint state, means it has never been circulated and retains its original luster, strike, and overall appearance. Even within mint state coins, there are distinctions: red, red-brown, and brown. A 1953 penny that maintains its original copper-red color is significantly more valuable than one that has turned brown over the decades. That's why coin collectors are always hunting for the 1953 D or 1953 S penny in MS 65 red or better. And when you add a rare mint error on top of that, now you're talking about a coin that can reach astonishing value levels. But let's not forget the emotional and historical appeal of this coin. It's a coin that's nearly 3/4 of a century old. It has lived through the Cold War, the Civil Rights Movement, the moon landing, the birth of the Internet, and everything in between. It may have been carried in the pocket of a returning Korean War veteran. It could have bought a candy bar in a 1950s soda shop. And now, it could be sitting in your possession, ready to reveal its hidden value. So, how do you find one of these valuable 1953 wheat pennies? Start by checking your old coin jars, searching estate sales, or even going through inherited collections. You never know where a rare penny might be hiding. Once you find one, examine the mint mark, check for doubling, look for off-center strikes or any signs of errors. And if you believe you've got something special, get it professionally graded by PCGS or NGC. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. If you happen to own a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark, in mint state condition, and especially if it contains a rare minting error, then buckle up, because the value of that coin could reach a truly incredible sum. That single penny could be worth as much as $162,000. Yes, you heard that right. A coin you could have once used to buy a piece of gum is now worth more than a luxury sports car or a down payment on a dream house. This is the magic of numismatics. It's not just about money, it's about history, rarity, mystery, and the thrill of the hunt. Every coin has a story, and some of them, like the 1953 wheat penny with a mint mark, are stories worth six figures. Today, we're taking a nostalgic journey back to the early 1950s, right into the heart of American history, to take a closer look at a coin that you may have come across in your childhood, in an old collection, or maybe still hiding somewhere in your attic. That I'm talking about the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln wheat penny from the year 1952, with that ever so important mint mark that could be your key to unlocking an incredible treasure. Trust me, you'll want to stay tuned all the way to the end of this video, because we're not just talking about a coin here. We're talking about a potential life-changing piece of metal that could be worth a jaw-dropping amount today. Let's start by traveling back in time to 1952. The United States was transitioning out of a post-war economy into a new era of growth and prosperity. Harry S. Truman was nearing the end of his presidency. The country was still adjusting to a new global order after World War II, and the Cold War was beginning to heat up. The average American home cost under $10,000, gas was 20 cents a gallon, and a loaf of bread? Just 16 cents. Amid all this, everyday Americans were going about their lives, with pennies jingling in their pockets, perhaps unaware that one of those coins would eventually become a collector's dream decades later. That's where our star of the show comes in, the 1952 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark. Now, for those who may not know the full story, this iconic penny features none other than Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this was the very first U.S. coin to feature the face of a real person when it was introduced in 1909, marking the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That bold choice forever changed the way American coins were designed, and the Lincoln cent has been an essential part of our currency ever since. On the obverse, or front side, of the coin, you'll see the strong profile of President Lincoln. Above his head is the motto, "In God We Trust," to the left is the word "Liberty," and to the right is the date, 1952. Now, right under that date, you'll find a small letter. That's the mint mark, an indicator of which U.S. mint facility produced the coin. If you see AD, it was minted in Denver, an S means San Francisco, and if there's no mint mark at all, it was produced in Philadelphia. Now flip the coin over, and on the reverse, you'll find the beloved wheat ears design. Two stylized wheat stalks curve inward from the sides, framing the words, 1 cent and United States of America. At the top is the phrase, E pluribus unum, which means, out of many, one, a fitting motto for a country made up of diverse people striving for unity. Although the wheat reverse was retired in 1958, it remains one of the most iconic designs in American coinage history. And among all the years it was minted, 1952 is one that collectors have increasingly started paying attention to. So, why is the 1952 penny so special? Why are collectors and treasure hunters alike fascinated by it? Let's break it down. Rarity, condition, and minting errors, these are the three pillars of a coin's value. While millions of 1952 pennies were minted, over 186 million in Philadelphia, 746 million in Denver, and around 137 million in San Francisco, most of these coins were used in everyday commerce. That means they were tossed into pockets, dropped on sidewalks, worn down by decades of handling. Very few were preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition. A 1952 penny in mint state, MS, condition, especially with a vivid red luster that hasn't faded, is already rare. But combine that with a mint mark and a minting error, and now you've got something truly extraordinary. Now let's talk about errors and varieties. This is where things get exciting. Some 1952 Lincoln pennies were struck with double dies, a type of error where the coin is struck more than once, slightly off alignment. This creates a shadowed or doubled effect, especially visible in the date, the letters of Liberty or In God We Trust. These double die obverse are incredibly popular among collectors. Other coins might have repunched mint marks, RPM, where the mint mark was stamped twice, leaving a visible double impression. You may even find coins that were struck off-center, or with clipped planchets, where a part of the coin is actually missing due to a misfeed in the minting process. Every one of these rare errors makes your 1952 penny more valuable, sometimes astronomically so, but of course, condition is key. Coins are graded from 1 to 70 using the Sheldon scale. A 1952 penny in MS65 or higher, meaning mint condition, with strong strike quality, sharp details, and vibrant color, is what collectors are always chasing. And when you get that in combination with a rare mint mark and an error, that's the coin that brings the big bucks at auction. Now let's talk numbers. You might be wondering, sure, it's cool. But is this actually valuable? Absolutely. And more than most people realize. Just imagine walking into an auction with a little copper penny from 1952 and walking out with a life-altering payday. That's not a fantasy. It's happened. Coins just like this have fetched enormous sums in private sales and public auctions. Collectors around the world are willing to pay top dollar for these rare coins, especially those in pristine condition with error varieties. So here comes the moment you've all been waiting for. If you are lucky enough to have a 1952 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark, in uncirculated or mint state condition, and with a significant minting error, then the value of that one single penny could reach an absolutely staggering amount. Yes, believe it or not, it could be worth as much as $171,000. That's right. A coin that once bought a piece of candy can now be worth more than some luxury cars or even a house. Incredible, isn't it? This is why coin collecting isn't just a hobby, it's a form of time travel, a window into history, and sometimes, a very lucrative investment. It's a reminder that the most ordinary things, like a penny, can turn out to be extraordinary treasures. Today, get ready to take a journey back in time, right into the heart of one of the most significant years in American and world history, 1945. And believe it or not, we're not talking about a gold coin or a rare silver dollar. We're talking about something much smaller, the Lincoln wheat penny from 1945, with a mint mark that could turn this simple copper coin into an absolute collector's dream. That's right, a penny. Just 1 cent. But what if I told you that this coin, which once sat unnoticed in the palm of your hand or rolled across a school cafeteria floor, could now be worth more than a luxury car, more than a college education, and in some rare cases, more than the down payment on a house? Sounds crazy? Well, stick around, because today's video is going to blow your mind. Let's begin by setting the stage. The year was 1945. World War II was drawing to a dramatic close. American troops were returning home, families were reuniting, and the nation was shifting from wartime production back to peace. Franklin D. Roosevelt had just passed away in April, and Harry S. Truman had stepped up as the 33rd President of the United States. The atomic bomb was dropped. The world was changing fast, and in the midst of all this, something seemingly ordinary was being produced by the millions, the Lincoln wheat cent. Now, you might wonder, what's so special about the 1945 wheat penny? After all, billions were made. True. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 1 billion coins. The Denver Mint added nearly 266 million, and the San Francisco Mint produced around 181 million. That means if you've ever come across old pennies, chances are, you've probably held a 1945 wheat penny at some point, but here's where things get truly fascinating. Among those billions of coins are hidden gems, rare varieties, minting errors, and exceptionally well-preserved specimens that have become the target of passionate collectors around the globe. Let's talk about the design first. On the obverse, you'll see the side profile of President Abraham Lincoln, the great emancipator, proudly facing right. The words, "In God We Trust," stretch along the upper rim. Liberty is positioned on the left, and to the right is the date, 1945. Just below the date, you'll see a tiny letter, D, if the coin was minted in Denver, an S for San Francisco, or no mint mark if it was struck in Philadelphia. Flip the coin over, and you're greeted by one of the most beloved designs in all of American coinage, the wheat ears reverse. 2 stylized stalks of wheat border the inscriptions, 1 cent and United States of America. At the top of the reverse, in classic Latin, is E pluribus unum, which means, out of many, one. This design, simple yet powerful, was created by Victor David Brenner and had been in circulation since 1909. The wheat design represents American agriculture and prosperity, a fitting symbol during a time when the nation was rebuilding and thriving once again. Now let's get into the juicy part. What makes the 1945 penny with a mint mark so valuable? Let's start with rarity and condition. While these coins were minted in the hundreds of millions, only a tiny fraction were preserved in mint state or uncirculated condition. Most of these pennies were heavily used, spent at soda fountains, candy stores, bus fares, or dropped into jukeboxes playing the latest jazz tunes. Coins that survived without being damaged, scratched, or oxidized over the decades are few and far between. Then there are the minting errors, the holy grail of coin collecting. For 1945 Lincoln wheat pennies, some known error types include double die obverse, DDO. This error results in a doubling of letters and numbers on the front of the coin, especially noticeable on Liberty, the date, and In God We Trust. Off-center strikes. Part of the coin design is missing because it was not properly aligned during the minting process. Repunched mint marks, RPM. This happens when the mint mark was struck more than once in slightly different positions. These are usually only visible under magnification but are highly collectible. Lamination errors, caused by impurities or imperfections in the metal, creating a flaking effect on the coin's surface. Each of these errors adds incredible value, especially when found on a coin in excellent condition. And collectors around the world are more than willing to pay top dollar to add these rare varieties to their collections. Let's take a second to talk about coin grading. Coins are graded on a scale of 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin, showing no signs of wear even under magnification. A coin graded MS 65 or higher, MS stands for mint state, is considered extremely desirable, but grading isn't just about the number. Color matters too. Lincoln wheat pennies come in 3 color designations: brown, red-brown, and full red. The redder and brighter the coin, the more valuable it is. A 1945 wheat penny with a mint mark in MS 67 full red condition with a rare error? That's where we enter elite territory. Now, before we talk money, let's pause for a moment and reflect on what we're really holding when we look at a 1945 wheat penny. We're not just looking at a coin. We're looking at a piece of living history. That coin could have been in the pocket of a soldier returning home from the war. It could have been used to buy a Coca-Cola or a comic book in a post-war American town. It's been through generations. It's lived a life. And now, it might just live a new life, as a prized collectible. So, what can a 1945 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark actually be worth today? Let's build up the suspense just a little bit more. If your penny is just a regular circulated one without any major errors and with heavy wear, its value might only be a few cents to a few dollars, depending on condition. But if your coin is in pristine condition, has a bold mint mark, retains its original coppery red color, and better yet, contains a significant mint error, then get ready for some serious excitement, because in that perfect storm of condition, rarity, and error, a single 1945 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark has sold for as much as $177,000. Yes, you heard that right. That little copper coin, the one people used to toss aside without a second thought, has now become one of the most valuable small coins of its kind. So check your coin jars. Dig into that old piggy bank. Ask your grandparents if they have any old pennies tucked away. Because one of them might just hold a penny with a story, and a value you'll never forget. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare and valuable coins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another hidden gem. There's a whole world of treasure out there, and it might be closer than you think. Until next time, keep collecting, keep dreaming, and as always, happy hunting.